what I will do is I will try to come into the provisions of the law and bring you in as to where we are. But the first 5 minutes or so, you'd be at liberty to come in and say what you'd like to, what sort of message narrative you'd like to create, and then we'll come in. And then we will try to take in questions. I don't know how many people are there.
Yeah,
We'll take in questions. Sanjay, are we on the same page?
Yes, absolutely.
Can we all hear each other?
Thank you.
A very good evening, Sanjay sir. A very good evening, Kritika. Okay, great.
Hi.
Viewable also? Can you see the picture as well?
Yeah.
Video?
Yes.
Sir, Kritika is joining in. Santanu sir is joining in. So let's wait for the other speakers.
Yeah, so I think we have Raghavender coming and joining. Otherwise we are fine.
This is a good platform, I suppose.
The platform is very good.
Very good.
And credit goes to our dear.
Thank you so much, sir. In the morning, even the launch facility is very good on this. 3 of the panels, they waited in the launch before they joined in here, and they had a wonderful experience.
I was also in the launch. I was in the lounge.
Prior to the joining in and after the session is over, we can all, move to one of the tables and have a conversation there in private. Whatever conversation you want to do, the networking part, it happens well there. So we've already tried and tested. And the students also, some of the overseas students joined in there. Some of the overseas speakers also joined in there. They had very good inputs to give back. So let's see. Two of them must be joining us soon.
The credit goes to Kaviraj, as I was saying, very much in finding it out. Because, webinars have become...
Who wants to join in? Just 1 second, sir.
He wants to join in as a participant. He is not able to.
But I can see sir here is attending.
So are people also seeing us? Because if people, let me see, people...
Eight people have joined, I suppose. That's what it shows.
Yeah.
Live 9.
Yeah. And I cannot see Shantanu's this thing here. Shantanu sir, Kritika also, both of them.
But I'm very much on camera, and I'm very much not unmuted, if I say. Now,
I can see myself too, but I don't know where am I not seen.
Can Sanjay see me?
Yeah, I can see you very well. Yeah,
I can see Sanjay. I can see Kritika very well.
Same here.
And I was seeing Vinakshi also. But now I understand why.
My apologies, I could not.
Can you see me now, Vinakshi?
Yes. I was wanting to have a look at your face and Kritika as well. A very
my face has not changed.
I know, but still.
Yeah. So jokes apart.
Over to you, please take it forward from here and let's welcome all the participants and the speakers. Please, over to you, Shantanu. Yeah, please.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, today's discussion, as we see, is on copyright issues on the online platform, issues in performers' rights, and intermediary liabilities. Now, the interesting thing is that we in the sense the Indian National Bar Association, we have our annual conference every year on the Constitutional Day, that is 26th of November. Sometimes we have a couple of days, 26, 27, 28. Sometimes we have a couple of them. And this is our very grandeur function. Typically, we have the annual awards and all that. But this year, we see that we are having this conference this annual conference virtually on an online platform. And it is not just the age of online platforms. Definitely, it is the age of online platforms. We do banking online, we do communication online, we do for quite some time we do correspondence online. But we are using this platform specially because of COVID-19, where the online conferences have become absolutely the new normal. So when we are talking about online platforms, legal rights which come on the online platforms, obviously we talk about copyrights. When we talk about copyrights, we talk about the creative content which is posted online on an online platform. And then there are different business models which go on. Here we see that the business model comes in where someone is providing us a platform. And now we are the content creators here. I might sing a song, and that itself might be would have a protection. Now
So
it is also
Shantanu,
possible.
I will bring you
Sorry.
on.
Shantanu sir, just give me a moment. We are waiting for Raghavender sir to just join in. Let's
Yeah.
give him a very warm welcome. He was already there. We just have to connect sir here. Please help him join.
Okay, no problem.
Sir is going to raise hand. Let's anybody who sees join him.
Yeah.
Santanu, you have changed your look as well.
Although this comes and goes in this sense. I mean, you don't have the monopoly to just have a handlebar mustache. The others will do their creativity.
I love that. I think the girls
See,
like it.
No.
yes.
You're
So
not a
I
girl,
was,
you're my wife.
I mean, the platform, as we are saying, let us do, because we have the others, the participants also there. I believe the participants, we are online and their participants are there.
Oh, sorry, I forget.
No problem. While GR joins, as I said, that we are
So,
having this conference
so,
online.
sir, Santanu,
Yes.
Help Raghavender sir join in. Help him. He's already there in the participants. Please take him in with you
as
in the panel.
he is on, must have raised a hand.
You accept that, please.
If you accept it, he will be on.
Moderator accepts it and he will be there with us.
I don't see any session, feed, people, event. Where do I accept it? I don't see him anywhere. There's
Okay,
no.
okay.
Raised hand.
No, he has not raised the hand yet.
I
Sir
have
has
nothing
not
here.
raised
Okay. It's no.
raised hand.
I don't see anything. I mean,
No,
We are requesting sir to raise hand now again. We'll see below the sessions we have feed Q&A. After that we have raised hands. So the moment sir raises hand, anybody who sees it, please accept it.
yeah. So I don't see any hand of any sort.
Yeah, same
So,
here.
I'm not claiming copyright over my creative humor. That much I can tell you. So as I was saying, that it is not just, yes, for sure, it has become it is online platforms have been very much the in thing for quite some time, but now it has become essential. And in the sense, although we do have physical meetings, also sometimes we cannot help but have physical meetings. And I'm in Kolkata, and I had meetings today. So the point is, some you cannot excuse. Sometimes meetings, especially with government and other officials and all, you cannot help. But I don't see Raghavendra anywhere. Mr. Raghavendra, are you there? No.
he is there.
He's there in the participants. Yes, sir is there.
See, I myself was unable to join. I was sitting in the lounge chatting with another moderator and to be honest, getting a little irritated because for 10
can you
minutes we're
hear,
chatting.
everyone is on the this. I'm speaking to Sir right now, Santanu, and yeah, he is joining back again. So I'm asking. Yeah, so you continue with the panel, and
Yeah,
he will join.
I think that makes sense.
It's a,
We carry on because otherwise the technicalities will kill our time, and Kritika for sure would not like because she had asked me how much time I would get. So, so, and there are we have to do justice to the 16 or 12 people. I already see 4 have left. So the point is we cannot do justice to them. My apologies to all the participants. So as I said, that when we talk about online platform, whether I am the creator and I'm putting the content on the online platform, or whether like this air meet, I am an intermediary, I am facilitating the content to be put on online platform, there are certain requirements that we need to make sure that we follow. Whether if you talk of law, there are definitely copyright law which comes in, and of course not just the copyright law. When we talk about copyright law, of course there is the issue of section 51, which comes in as to what is protected, what is not protected, and also as far as the infringement is concerned, we do have the section 63 triggering in. But this is not just the only one. We would also see the Information Technology Act of 2000 triggering in, and there may be sections of now when we are talking about whether someone is facilitating uh, uploading of illegitimate content through an hardware or a software device or hardware or a software means, the section 66 might trigger it. And then there are definitely the penal side of it, section 420 as to fraudulent measures that can come in. And also there are certain intermediary sort of safe harbors which are available, and there have been rules on that. There have been definitely there have been what you call uh, judgments on that. Now that's the entire framework. I am not going to speak on that because there are learned people like Kritika and there are learned people like Sanjay who has contributed immensely for the performers' rights, the singers to be more precise, and he created a platform, one of the only two copyright societies, registered copyright societies, and so I will gradually I will let people to take over now. And perhaps the first, I'm very privileged, and in the Indian National Bar Association is definitely privileged to have Mr. Sanjay Tandon, the managing director of ISRA, very much participating in to speak about the what he feels on the topic, and then I would have in the second round, I would have specific questions. Over to Sanjay for taking from here, and Sri Sanjay Tandon, as I said, is the managing director of the Indian Singers' Rights Association. In short, many people know it as ISRA. And he had been all his life fighting for the rights of the singers. And finally, it's not just the satisfaction in success that brought smile on his face, but also the smile on many of the singers' face in their lifetime. They are seeing the dividends coming from their creative art. Over to Sanjay.
Thank you, Shantanu. It's really lovely to be on the INBA's conference, which is annual event, as you rightly said. It's a huge thing. I have been there earlier also on your invitation. I think about 2 or 3 years back. It was such a lovely occasion, and but I definitely am missing the physical presence or so. So we all are. And as you rightly mentioned in your opening remarks, that the online is the new norm. We all have to sort of adapt to it. We all have to sort of get used to it. But the fact is that with all this positivity about online and all the world going online now, the real people to be affected are the performers. Negatively, I'm saying negatively, okay? Positively, yes, all of us get a new mode to contact people, to do our business, and so on and so forth. And hence, online is a very good platform, and various different platforms are now being made available for people to interact and to do business. But at the same time, as far as the performers lobby is concerned, when I'm saying performers, it includes singers, dancers, musicians, and all those people. So I'm talking of all those. They are the worst hit amongst all in this online surge that has happened, especially because of the COVID situation. Yeah, you are quite right that as far as the performers' copyright interests are concerned, they have become very important to be looked into, especially in this online environment, with regards to the various infringements happening, with regards to the various people who are liable for that infringement. We all need to really look into all those things. And the only positive thing, but of course not positive from the monetary point of view for the artists of the country, but the positive thing that has happened in this COVID period, post 17th of March, has been the medium of short videos. So we had the TikToks of the world going wild when suddenly the government of India banned them. And because of the ban, we then have lots of other people, the Indian guys who have come in with a lot of these short video modes things. And they are using all the content of the performers, left, right, and center, without any sort of liability towards copyright and to the performers. And you're quite right, Shantanu, when you said that the ISRA has brought in a smile on a lot of faces, and a lot of singers and performers do look for this particular new mode of revenue for them. But let me tell you, this took me 30 years, 30 long years. And Lata Mangeshkar ji, myself, and Sonu Nigam and Alka Yagnik, we four joined hands to literally get performers this justice from in our copyright law, which happened in 2012. And in 2012, when the law further extended and strengthened the performers' rights, which was given for the first time in our copyright law in 1994 amendments, we were quite happy because it then fixed liabilities on various of the users who are now required to pay the singers or the performers a royalty. So that's where in the online environment also, so first is in the brick and mortar situation, definitely the law was very clear that in addition to any other licenses that a user may be required to obtain, whether it is license for playing the sound recording, whether it is the license for the underlying works, whatever the license is it, once they take a licensed content, then if they exploit it commercially, then they need to pay the singers, the performers, the actors, the singers, the musicians, the dancers, a copyright royalty, which is what the law has given from 2012 clearly, speaking of it as the right to receive royalty. So there are the economic royalties. The economic royalties have been envisaged under Section 38A. In addition to that, even if those economic rights have been assigned away to somebody, which is always the case in India, because the artist is always in a very weakened position. He is not on a good position for negotiations. He's made to sign on the dotted line, just like a zamindari system that existed in India. And so this is what literally helped me to convince the parliament in 2012 to get the law changed, that artists are akin to bonded laborers. They sign on dotted lines. They don't have a power of negotiation. And hence, irrespective of this atrocity that is there being negotiation power, they should still stand to get royalties whenever their sung songs are commercially exploited. And that's what the law said. And that again is applied for any and every means and modes. That's important. The communication to the public of a singer's sung voice song by any and every means requires a clearance by paying the necessary royalty, which therefore means that if the artist's creativity or his content is being used online, of course, the online people, whether it is the intermediary or whether it is the user, they all need to respect the performer's rights by paying the necessary royalties to ISRA. And the royalties have to be paid based on a certain tariff card, which has been made by ISRA and is available on its website transparently. And that's how we would like to go ahead and license and see that all usage of artists or the performers' creative content is respected and the royalties are paid for that. So that is my take, the first take on it. Rest, of course, I'm open for still questions and so on and so forth. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Back to you.
Thank you very much, Sanjay. Absolutely right. When the timer pinged, you very much ended. Beautiful timing. Thank you very much. While we wait for Raghavender, I have certain questions for him. But while we wait, let us get a picture of what the law is, what exactly and how the two see. Nowadays, what happens quite a lot is not just a single statute which rules the turf, whether it is always what we say an interface of laws, whether it's an interface between intellectual property rights, let's say patent and competition law, or patent or international trade law, WTO regulated law, or in this case, the interface is between the copyright or the IPR laws, very streamed into copyright laws, and the cyber laws of the Intellectual Information Technology Act, which is governed as of date by the Information Technology Act. Now, I would hand over to Kritika. So, Kritika, before I hand over to you, I have to apologize because I have not received your bio. So I know you are a practicing lawyer and this is not the first time we are meeting, but I have to apologize and that I have a meeting online after some time. So I give you 2 minutes to introduce yourself and then I give you 5 minutes to square up and bring to the viewers our discussion topic and the law and the framework of the law. Over to you, Kritika.
Thank you, Santanu, and thank you, INBA, for this opportunity. So briefly about me, I am Kritika, and I'm the founding partner of a law firm called Victoriam Legalis. We are a fairly new firm. We started early this year, actually, and lockdown came in. But before that, I was handling a lot of IP and copyright related matters. I specialize in intellectual property, media entertainment. We have a law firm which is a very specialized field Basically, the perspective of creating this law firm was to be able to bring in a specialized practice and not make it generic. And so the practice areas for us has been corporate commercial, of course, and advisory. Along with that, we are focusing on streamlining it like we mentioned, information technology, IPR, and media. So precisely that's the way we are moving forward. We are also adding into the fashion laws and the growing sports laws in the country. So that's the whole purpose of our law firm. So that's about me.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Going back to the discussion that we're having, actually, it's a very interesting topic, especially in these times, because I personally believe that in the past couple of months, the digital world has actually picked up a lot of scope in the industry, and especially the media and entertainment, wherein we do find a lot of content being uploaded, and everything is like moving very digital. Like from moving from the space of having face-to-face interactions and face-to-face events, the live events, everything is just like moved into the web world, which has led to a lot of pros and cons as well. So yes, absolutely, very rightly said, actually, Shantanu, that law is no more like, especially when we talk about IPR, it's no more limited to just the Copyright Act or the Trademark Act or the patent. When we are talking about law, we are technically talking about all the aspects bringing in together, whether it is information technology, or for that matter it could also be some kind of competition act issues that are coming into picture. So of course we are now talking about how various laws are coming together to be of great significance when it comes to the aspect of growth. And thanks to this digital world, I think information technology has picked up its scope, which I believe it should have always been. However, I just feel that in these times, with the growing technology, I think there is more scope with the laws that are like coming in, and people are getting more aware of their existence. So like if I look at the intermediary, of course, yes, like you said very rightly, that yes, we've had multiple cases in the past, and of course recently as well, wherein we have tried to safeguard aspects of intermediaries. The law is pretty clear on that. But having said that, that has not left a lot of people from, suing them and bringing them into the picture. So I guess that awareness is increasing. So is with the performance laws. Sanjay had said it like perfectly, and I'm actually glad that I'm actually sharing this platform with Sanjay because the Singer Society has been, sorry. But yeah, the Singer Society has been quite an interesting take. The labels, how they look at it, and then of course we have the performers, how they look at it, and that perspective, of course, really matters. And I really appreciate how you mentioned that there is a reason behind not exploiting these performers in the long run. So I completely take that. So I guess that we do have. I believe India is one country which has catered for a lot. But at the same time, when it comes to the execution of it, it completely comes back to how one presents oneself. So, very briefly speaking, I think this is a very interesting turn of events that are taking place in the present times. And of course, exploring a lot of copyright with information technology is what I'm kind of looking forward to with all the web space like picking up and increasing, and the events like live events happening online. What is going to be the consequence of that? That's something like really worth looking at.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Before I go into specific questions, raised hands. Okay, now I see a raised hand. Where is it? Raised hand request will show up, but I don't see any raised hand anyway. So there was one. I don't see it anyway. So I will open up. You have taken 4 minutes. Thank you very much. So before I go, is there any questions? If we don't have, I have a habit of taking questions even for the physical conferences as much as possible. So I would request people to write and put in their questions. I don't see any question and answer, raised hands, nothing here so far. So people, those who are joined, those who have joined, I see there are around 10 more people apart from us. If you have questions, you raise your questions. Otherwise, I have mine for the two speakers. Are there any questions? I don't see anything. So
Is Raghavender joining?
Santanu,
yeah,
I just received a call from Ministry of Law and Justice.
yeah,
Mr. Raghavendra was trying to join through the mobile phone.
yeah.
That is not a possible on this platform to be a speaker.
Oh,
You can
through
just
the
listen. You can be a participant, but you cannot be a speaker on mobile phone.
function. Yeah. This
So
is
he
this
is
is a
now,
drawback because this is a drawback because we do understand people are sometimes so very mobile that the mobile platform is the only platform they have with them.
yeah,
So unfortunately, thank you for telling us. Otherwise, every round I will have to. I would have waited for a few, at least for a few seconds, if not more. So you tell me now one thing. Thank you very
he is
much.
joining.
Understood about GR. I'm not going to spend another any second on that discussion. So the point is very clear. Thank you for informing. Now you tell me. I don't see any question. Oh, there's one question.
There's one question. Yep.
There's one. Good evening. Thank you for such wonderful sessions. I want to ask, don't we have any organization in India collecting mechanical royalties for the live digital performance? So Sanjay, would you like to pick it?
I'll take that question.
Very good question.
Well, yes, Debragya, there is a society which exists which should be doing this job. The mechanical royalties for the underlying works, that is the musical work and the literary work, responsibility lies with the Indian Performing Rights Society called the IPRS. They are supposed to be administering, collecting, and distributing the mechanical royalties for any types of performances, whether they are physical or whether they are live digital ones. So we do have the society. I'm not aware, since I'm no more associated with ISRA, with IPRS. So yes, during my time as the Director General of IPRS, we did have a tariff structure in place for live digital performances, mechanical rights. I'm not sure about it today. I think it would be better if you could go onto the website. I think they're very transparent now, and they have it on their website. So you could probably just go to the website and check it out.
If I can add in there, yes, they have a
Please do.
tariff structure that is in place, and yes, they've become pretty clear about their. I mean, they're very transparent about their tariffs now. So yes, it's all available online.
Right. So that gives me the license to be a bit okay, provocative. But before I am provocative, someone is raising physically, as he says, physically raising his hand, not raising through the. So go ahead, Kaviraj. Go ahead,
Yeah.
your question.
So we have been a good friend for a quite long time. So my question to all of you is, we have a many society, not a one, for this purpose in India. And however, and in all possibilities, and subject to so many conditions, uh, when you go online, I can see any movie, even though it is not released by your original producer, news, or so many private content and materials already available on the website. What happens? It's very simple. You can see it. So, uh, when you say who is responsible for it, website, there are so many websites on internet that make you available this material. I can upload, they will delete if I oppose it, but they can upload it again on the other website. If I oppose over there, they can upload on the third website, then fourth and fifth. But it is searchable in the Google.
Yeah, I think Sanjay has a this is the classic case of even in any infringement, and that is why quite often someone like Sanjay loves to say hello to the Maharashtra Cyber once in a while. But I will not take it from Sanjay. I will let Sanjay take the question, and
Let
then
me
I
give
will
you
add on to
let,
some others.
let me give
Sanjay.
you let me give you a practical answer rather than a literary answer. So
Yep.
it's not based on what is written in the books of law, but this
Yeah.
is a practical thing which I was responsible for in India. In When there was this movie released called Three Idiots,
Yep.
and then there was Singham and everything. At that time, I was the head of
IPR is it?
the no, I was at Reliance
Oh, okay, okay,
Communication,
yeah.
Right.
and I was the one who start off the process of or the system of taking John Doe orders for films. So the first film that I took the John Doe order was against for Three Idiots. And to answer your question that, oh, one will take it off, the other will come, third will then take it off, fourth will come. Yes, of course. And you see, the owner of copyright should also be working for the benefit that he's seeking. If he's seeking a certain amount of royalty or a benefit, it's in his own interest that he needs to safeguard that. And therefore, what we did at that time, what I did at that time,
Sir.
one minute, let me complete. Let me complete.
No.
So what did I do at that time?
Sanjay ji,
Hanji.
Kaviraj, let him finish
definitely,
first.
no.
Let I use the
I am
moderator's
asking one
license.
more question right now.
No, hold on. I
No,
use the
no.
moderator's
I
license.
am so. So my question
Kaviraj,
is very
Kaviraj
simple, and they are
ji.
not charging. Santanu, please.
Hanji, बोलिए कविराज जी.
You can join. Yeah,
He's raising hand.
yeah. So to event, uh, I'm not taking any royalty or any direct benefit for broadcasting a movie. That's a classic example of a Google. I am targeting ads. The more visitor I have on my website, I will have a more value.
Correct.
So it is very this virtual world is a much more complicated than you and me have noticed or not.
Yes, you're right. Absolutely right. And that's where I was coming to right now. Is
Yeah. So that's
as far as the original content creator is concerned, I was talking to you on that first aspect. That
yeah.
the original content creator is wanting to increase his value of his content.
Absolutely.
So for that, he has to definitely work towards protecting it. So what we did for Three Idiots and for Singham, every time somebody used to upload it, we used to bring it down from the back door. We even managed to get the John Doe order by which there were some 30 or 40 sites that were blocked, and my effigies were burnt in Ghaziabad, some college in Ghaziabad, because obviously in that John Doe order, genuine things were also blocked. Genuine content was also blocked, no doubt about that, because the order was a a la carte blockage of the entire website. It was not only for the film; it was the entire website. Closed down the entire website, with the result that these sites that Three Idiots or Singham was not available to the public for 7 days, and that was enough for us to make money. And that's why you see Three Idiots has gone into making 350 or 400 crores or whatever it is. That is one part, little part that must have played for that 350 crores or 400. I'm not saying that is because the reason. Now coming to your point, sir, if you as a user is putting up a content for which of course you are not going to benefit directly, what you're going to do is you're going to attract more and more views, by virtue of which, if you have a tie-up with the provider, you will get either some payment or you will get more branding to your site, which you can then later on sell it off, build up a branding and sell that brand off. That is what is your issue. Now my point to you is, therefore, let's take for example the present thing that we are doing right now. We are having this session right now. If I put up this session and I put up the things that you were saying, and I dub it in the voice of an advertisement of you selling some whiskey, will that not be infringement of your right? Can I do it? Can I do it? The answer is no.
No.
So as Santanu was rightly saying, it's not just a matter of copyright. It is a matter of other different laws of the country and the world, even the right to privacy for that matter. So there is right to privacy, there is right of personality. I can't put Amitabh Bachchan's coolie ad where he's smoking and say, Pan cha bidi kharido. You can't put that. So that's where the performer's rights is all about. That the performer cannot be portrayed, or his work cannot be portrayed in the manner for which it was never conceived. So that's the dilemma, and that's the challenge that we all need to face. It's a very interesting challenge, and I'm looking forward to that.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Before I go, there's also a question by the same person. But before going into that, I don't want to monopolize Kaviraj's points are very valid, no doubt about it. But I will come back to Kaviraj. But there's another question, and I also had so there is another question from Mr. Sugathan. So I'm getting questions, which is very good. So the point is that we did mention, Sanjay mentioned about IPRS and the mechanical, license fees, licensing, and the mechanical royalties being collected. Now, when we are talking about that, and then obviously Kritika mentioned how IPRS is transparent. Now, I mean, very subtle. I was trying to get Mr. Nigam on board, but he has another commitment, so he had to he had to excuse. But the point is it not interesting that they are bound to be transparent? My question is there any tricky litigation which has gone and something happened for which they are all very transparent now? Kritika, can you throw some light on that? And I see Sanjay is smiling, rather laughing.
I bet
everyone on this panel is smiling.
I will not give the gate to Sanjay. Let Kritika do as a neutral practitioner.
I guess Sanjay
Let
is maybe
Kritika do
the
the
ideal
job.
person to answer this, because I mean, knowing the fact that I'm sure like he has been there, done that, he knows it. So of course.
I would have asked Mr. Nigam himself, but the point
Absolutely.
is,
He would be an ideal person, absolutely.
yes.
See, there has been a lot that has been said and a lot has been done when it comes to the societies overall. I'm not going to just talk about IPRS, but even if you look at PPL for that matter, there has been a lot that has been spoken, and for the longest time there was this period when their existence was not actually being respected, and it was not really considered, and they were not existing as such, and they were not operating solely because there was, like I said, I'm not going to get into the details of it because I mean, it's bygone and it's there. But having said that, there has been a lot of change that was brought to these societies solely because, number one, of course, when the law was laid down in 2012, I think it really impacted, the collection. And of course, there was something that was required, like there needed to be fairness for the artists as well. The sole purpose of having IPRS is basically to ensure that the royalties which are payable to the musicians and the lyricists is like duly paid, and they get their share of royalties, and their hard work is basically paid for. And the fact that the law makes it a non-transferable right is further helping them out. So that, I think, that is where I guess eventually the musicians and the lyricists and the artists themselves, they started to recognize their importance, and there was then a need for IPRS to start becoming a little transparent about where the money goes and where it is being collected from. Also because there have been a lot of live events that are that had been like paid, and there were licenses being taken on regular basis. And the fact that it existed, the question always was on the side of the artist, that where is this money going? And there was no transparency, let's be honest. And it was just a structure where the money was being collected and it was being paid out, but nobody knew like what's the exact collection. So when I think they came up with the whole new setup, with the new set of management and everybody, I think the whole purpose was to bring in a forum which is unilateral, and it's actually doing what it's supposed to do under the law, right? Like it's supposed to be a society for the artists, for their collection, and that has to be respected. So I believe somewhere that was kept in mind, and then that transition took place. But I guess
Thank
everyone.
you, Kritika. I'm interjecting and coming in. You very nicely and very politely have explained the entire scenario. I would, in very short, say that they have brought in marvelous changes because it was existential. So I will just make that very statement and stop there and go into two questions and let you smile while this existential word is interpreted by you people. By that, now I go into Devagir's next question, as well as Mahesh Sugathan's question. Yeah, I mean, I'm reading it loud. I don't know if everyone can see it. So, as for singers, we have PRO, which collects performance royalty for singers. However, for other session musicians, there is no PRO collecting their performance royalties. Do we consider their work as work on hire? Well, I mean, it is, if it is not on hire, if it is not contractually for hire, it is not on hire, and not that of singers. I will leave this question for any of you to answer, and then I will take the other question also. An Indian living abroad, I am often asked by friends who are fans of Indian music whether he or she can access an English subtitled version. And
Santanu, my
can you unmute?
apology.
Can you mute, please? So can one respect copyright and at the same time add value to a music video by
Yeah,
providing such
I'm
subtitle?
putting you on.
I am very much
Putting,
aware of the timelines. With that, Kaviraj, thank you for reminding. I will leave the questions to both of you to answer very short, in perhaps 1 minute or so, and then I will come back to Kaviraj's question again at the end, because there were one thing which I might add to his question. 1 minute to each of you.
Kritika.
Okay. So answering the question, and again, Sanjay, please correct me if anywhere you think I'm going wrong. But as far as the question of Debarkya is concerned, yeah, I mean, as far as the royalties are concerned and what the acts really is identifying, it is basically the creator who is going to be entitled to the royalty. So and hence, I think the royalty that is why is payable to the original lyricist and the original composer, because they are the ones who are creating that. And as far as the question of work for hires is concerned, of course, until and unless your contract does not call it to be a work for hire or a commissioned work, in until and unless the contract doesn't say that, it is not exactly work for hire. And that's why and they're not really entitled. Once it is work for, it doesn't matter whether it's work for hire or for that matter you are the original composer, you will still be entitled to the royalty as original composer. That's it. So that's exactly why the other musicians may not fall into the same category.
Uh,
Yeah.
Debapriya, the answer to your question is yes. There is one PRO, which is my PRO, which is in ISRA, which collects performance royalties for singers. But the the society is called Indian Singers Rights Association, because singers were the only organized lot in 2012. And though the law has given rights to a performer, and a performer under Section 2Q, I suppose, or 2F of the Act says that performer means an actor, singer, dancer, musician. And therefore, let me tell you that ISRA is very much determined to expand its scope from being just from singers to also include all performers. So there will be a ease to all the users, that they don't have to run from pillar to post, taking one license from a singer, one from dancer, one from actor. No, everything will be under one umbrella, and therefore ISRA will be converting itself into a performer right organization. As far as the session musicians are concerned, they are, of course, entitled to receive royalties, the performer's royalty that is due to them. Because when a performer's royalty is being paid, say 100%, out of that, certain percentage goes to the session musician, certain percentage goes to the vocal performer, certain percentage goes to the actor, and so on and so forth. So that is yet to happen in our country, which will soon happen. You will see that. As far as the as far as on the subtitle, yes, you can do that. There's no problem, provided you do it with permission. That's it.
Right.
You can do anything you like with the copyrighted material. Please remember, copyright is not to restrict you.
Right.
Copyright is only to protect the original creator. And therefore, if you take permission and do things, fine. No problem.
Yeah. So I thank you very much. Very quickly, coming back to Kaviraj's point, Kaviraj had raised the issue of people uploading content and their rights. Now there has been decisions by honorable courts, and we have something called safe harbor, and where the intermediaries' rights and the intermediaries' liabilities are well pronounced. Now, can you, let me say, Kritika, very quickly point out couple of, just two of the intermediary requirements to make sure that Kaviraj, if he puts up something, he is not in violation of section 420 of the penal code.
Absolutely. So, see,
well said, Santanu. Thanks.
Quick.
So basically, if we see, the safe harbor provisions are covered under Section 79 of the IT Act, and if you see what
Kritika, we do not have that much of time. Two requirements that an intermediary should do.
So
Two
we
requirements.
don't need.
So basically, number one, what we require is due diligence. Of course, there must be like absolute due diligence that must be done prior to. Just ensuring that the data that is being collected is like duly like looked into, and of course, there has to be some kind of third party. Like there has to be some kind of a process for ensuring that the third party data is being like properly regulated and that is being
Yes.
uploaded.
So Sanjay, do you like to add anything?
No, I think that's perfect.
So
Sir, I would like
if the
to
content, we are at
ask.
8 o'clock. Lot of time has been already eaten up
No,
by
but
earlier.
we
So if
see.
the
But,
intermediary has a set process as to make sure that the content which is coming up is genuine and
hmm,
at the same time has an elaborate takedown mechanism when there is a complaint. I think Kritika will do a job as giving rightful advice to the client. With
uh,
that,
no,
I would come back to Kaviraj because he had been raising his hand very frantically. So if he has any other question.
yeah. Uh, the first thing I would like to tell you, the moment I start asking you questions, so you have a more question from the audience, and the audience has increased. So it is a very different behavior of a audience here. What you see the number is not a true. So what is happening in the behind? I will give you send you the results of the audience. But now there's only one question comes to me, and the same question is goes to each every panel of our conference. It goes to the Sanjay ji, Santanu, and Kritika. Uh, it, I'm in Venezuela, Australia. I have one legal copy of one original matter. So in this virtual world, if you create doing the same thing, so many authorities, so many government are involved, so many laws are involved, conflicting to each other in this virtual world. What's going to happen?
I, I take your question, and
That
do
as well.
not see I do not see necessarily there will be conflicts because they considering that they are TRIPS compliant. Now, if it is TRIPS compliant, if they are LDCs of the least developed countries and have a transition till 2026, then there is no question of going behind them. And so, if there is a violation, there is a violation. I am not going into that. But otherwise, if they are TRIPS compliant, and they need to be TRIPS compliant, then I do not see there is a chance of conflict of laws. But what practical problem which happens is enforcement. Now the point is, if the violation is happening in one jurisdiction and the others see the violation is happening in another jurisdiction, enforcement in my jurisdiction becomes very difficult. In case some cases it is impossible also. Now, there the question comes into Sanjay will use TPMs or the technical protective measures to try to stop it. And when Sanjay uses TPMs to stop it, Kritika will use her copyright law in India to make sure that if anyone breaks the TPM, there will be a violation of the copyright law. And if GR was here, GR would have said, I made sure that breaking of TPMs would be a copyright violation. So the point is whether my dear friend Kaviraj is sitting in Australia or whether he's sitting in Siberia, if he is going to have any content being violated by someone else, we are definitely able to make sure that is taken down immediately. Now, I don't know. We are on over time, but as long as I can, I am ready to keep it open the platform. And I have a question. Immediately, I have a question for Sanjay. Now, when you see about the licensing, practical issues in licensing, when you talk about licensing, you have the master sound recording license, and then what matters is the sync license. Now, as a society, sometimes you have certain, because it's a bundle, the copyright comes in a bundle. How do you manage the licensing? Because in some, you might have some, you might not have some. How do you manage? And how do you, in real terms, in practical, or some guidelines if there are others who are content creators or intermediaries, if you have some guidelines or some tips for them to understand how your licensing works?
Yeah. You see, what really should be done and what is rather happening also these days, I'm happy to say that, is that the law has itself created this particular difference. So we have rights in an underlying works, which are the writing, which is the lyrics, and the tune, which is the music composer's ownership. Then we have the sound recording, which are the music labels. And then we have the performers who give expressions to all these things. So actually, there are three people. And what the law of India, the Indian copyright law in 2012 has done very correctly is it has recognized the aspect that there is a partnership between the creative community and the business community. They can't survive without each other. They would need each other. And therefore, it was prescribed that for collecting royalties or issuing licenses for usage or exploitation of the content, separate copyright societies should exist in separate class of works. So there has to be a separate society for licensing, issuing licenses, collecting royalties, distributing royalties. To the composers and songwriters, there should be one, which is in India today called IPRS. For performers, there should be one, which is today ISRA, limited to singers today, because the other people have not yet got up and started not demanding, so that's okay. But once they demand, they'll have to join ISRA, which will become IPRA or whatever it may be. Another one is there has to be one society for the sound recording people, which today is not the case. That is what is creating a little bit of a problem and the hullabaloo that is there in the market, where there are agents who go for licensing. Then there is PPL, which goes for licensing. Then there's another society going for licensing, and that is creating a whole lot of confusion. But the law has very clearly said that there has to be one society for one class of work, and that's how it is segregated there itself, at the beginning itself. So the IPRS will have the rights for the underlying works. PPL, or that matter, any other society, will be having rights for sound recordings, the master recordings, and ISRA will have the rights to for singers or for the performers. So it's as clear as that. It's just a matter of user understanding that. But I can understand also that not only in India but the world, itni आसानी से पैसा नहीं देता है. So people love to question. People love to challenge, and that's why courts etc. get so much of unnecessary jobs to do. So that is a practical situation we all have to face. As Kritika in the earlier mentioned, that as far as IPRS was concerned, nobody was ready to recognize that. Yes, that was my situation in 1991 when I joined IPRS. Nobody was ready to look at IPRS, and not in the same bad situation today of ISRA, but ISRA is also facing the same thing. Certain people or certain major users say, oh, singers are not entitled to royalties. So the only way to go is go the court way, and that's where it is. There are legal challenges. We have filed cases. There were 2 judgments in our favor from the Delhi High Court. Absolutely. Those have been sort of asked for review. Review was thrown out. So they have another done. There's another challenge. So that's all there. It's a part of the job. It's a legal process, which I think once it sets, things will become better.
If I may add to what you just said, Sanjay, actually it's so true, because what happens is, even if you look at the Copyright Act at the moment, the fact is that it has left certain terms so ambiguous that it makes it possible for people to actually question whether singers today or the performers today are entitled to royalty or not. So I guess somewhere, I guess, when there are precedents which are set out, that brings in a concept which is, with that clarity that probably somewhere the act in itself has, not been able to establish. So yes, because I've been like keeping up with ISRA's cases quite a lot, considering I represent a lot of artists myself. So the first question I get from singers is that, do we need to be a member of ISRA? And I'm also quite amused by what do I say, because I on one hand represent labels who actually do not really like go ahead and accept the fact that Isra is entitled to royalty, and then there are artists who are looking forward to look at any way to get that royalty. So I guess like that confusion can be cleared out solely through precedents, and I think Isra is pretty much doing that. So that's
Yeah,
commendable.
we're doing that, but let me also tell you,
Uh,
just directly answer your
Sanjay,
concern that, section 18, of course, has
Yes,
given the right to receive royalty as being unassignable.
correct.
So when it is unassignable, obviously any contract or anything does not bear any consequence. And
Yes,
therefore, a singer, whenever he asks you that he should whether become a member or no, it's immaterial of his contractual obligations. If
correct.
he becomes a member of ISRA, he is entitled to his royalties irrespective of the contracts that he signs. So
Absolutely.
even if the labels take away all his rights,
Yes,
take away all his clothes, including the ones down,
yes.
he is still entitled for royalties.
Thank
That's
you.
the law. And the law is
Absolutely.
very
so
clear.
Sanjay ji, I would like to say only few words as my remark. Uh, I'm not a very intellectual guy. I'm a very ordinary person.
Can you be a bit loud?
Yeah, I'm not a very intellectual person. I'm a very ordinary person that's has a
An
ordinary.
intervention. We are not defining intellectual here, and you do not have the creative license from Mr.
Yeah.
Kejriwal to win over Aam Aadmi. So you are neither here nor there. With that, I leave it to.
No, I'm not a political person. But my humble submission is very simple. We are talking about the law and the law. And the so-called protective associations, competing interest plus government.
Yeah.
But question is remain the same. Do I get a justice?
I believe the answer lies with a good lawyer. You
No,
have a good lawyer, you have the case.
no. Kritika, having a good lawyer means you can win in a long term.
Yeah.
But right now, what you are doing, nothing. You cannot get me protect my reputation. And you cannot, as a lawyer, safeguard me against the harassments. So, question is very complicated. And if I go, it will keep going. So, I will not expect more to it and discuss about it. So we will come to join a launch and Sanjay ji or Kritika ji and my dearest critic, dearest critic, who always criticize me.
I am just using my creative license to humor. I'm
No,
not.
no,
I am not
Santanu.
criticizing anyone. So
So,
so far so good. But I could not understand your. There are some noise disturbances which is not in my control, but
yeah.
from outside. And of course, now I am sitting in Kolkata, which is a noisy state, a noisy city, especially on a day of Bandh, where
Mm,
the opposition has been very vociferously trying to be Aam Aadmi, as you mentioned. So everyone, so you don't have the license to be Aam Aadmi. So everyone says I'm a very ordinary person, whether the person is ordinary or
but
not.
I
Now
love,
coming to the copyright discussion,
I love it. I
coming
love
back
it.
to the copyright discussion. Now the John Doe orders, keeping, if you look into the intermediary side, the rights and liabilities of the intermediaries, and the courts going up and down in their decisions as to whether when you had initiated the takedown of the entire website, and later on there are decisions where that was not allowed. Now the point is, you see a sort of a curve going in that scenario. Unlike in the trademark matters, how far the John Doe orders, for those who are not aware of what exactly the John Doe orders or the Kishore Kumar orders or whatever you call it, the point is, or Jane Doe orders, especially when we have Kritika try to balance John Doe and Jane Doe, the point is that it is sort of a flat sort of order of restriction, irrespective of whether you can identify the violator or not. And then you have X, that is John or Jane, or you have Kishore Kumar, I don't know the gender balance in the Indian perspective. And then you get someone and put the name there and carry on with the prosecution, civil prosecution. Now, how much of that is in the present day possible when you have the restrictions and liberal decisions coming from the courts? I would leave this to any of you to answer, and then I think this will be the last. If there is no other question, this will be the last matter of discussion. And more or less, we have covered all the lost
Yeah,
time that we
yeah.
started with in the slog overs in terms of cricket. Over to both of you. Kritika, perhaps you
Yeah.
can start.
I mean, I
And
have been actually associated with a couple of John Does when it comes to counterfeiting products, actually, in the past. And my experience.
In your previous role,
Yes, yes, in my previous organizations. So, what I personally enjoyed, I personally would say I genuinely enjoyed the entire process because it does not restrict the prosecution to, like, to be restricted to one particular defendant or finding that defendant, really, because the fact is that we know there is an existence of, unlawful activities going on by multiple people. And the fact that the court is open to receive that aspect and give us that option of, looking out for these multiple offenders and bring them to court and then make them a party. I think that's a wonderful way of bringing in these people. So I mean, one of the advantages, and I did come across a lot of such cases, even when it comes to the media, because there have been times when you see, I agree with the fact that we do have multiple offenders even today, and sometimes it's very difficult to get hold of them, considering the technology is also growing. It, and I always say this: if there is growth in technology, then there is also growth in those who are ready to hack into that technology and bring in the offense. But having said that, what's really pertinent to understand here is that. that there is still scope, right? I mean, the fact that the courts are willing to give us those orders and allow us to find and get hold of these people and bring them to court and bring in action against them, somewhere I believe that there is hope in the entire process. And I feel that that has really helped recently. I mean, I wouldn't say I have been able to come across too many of such cases, but yes, there have been Jane Doe and John Doe orders that have been given by various courts in India, and it's a great forum, especially with this technology increasing and the digital space expanding. There have been multiple situations also wherein we find that the offenders are very conveniently, hiding under another IP or another ISP and all. So there have been cases
It
like
is
that.
true.
But the fact is that that's the scenario today, and in this situation, if we do get that option of being able to get hold of even one such person, I believe that we are still doing a pretty good job there.
Yeah, I think
So,
Kritika said it all. Nothing really to add to that, except, of course, as a final thing, I always keep on saying, if at all, if every one of us become fair and honest, things will be a different world.
no,
Absolutely,
it
the world
cannot
would be
be.
completely different.
So, it's a philosophical question.
That's a dream,
So,
I said. I said it's a dream.
yeah, utopian society that we talk about it. So it's around 8:20, and I request Santanu to close the panel and let us come to the lounge and talk one to one to each other. I would love to talk really to the Kritika and Rajeshji, and there is a bonus always there, Santanu is there.
Well, thank you. I had thought earlier that I will give both of you time to say your last statement, but I think you had more than enough, and I would not be in any way partial to any one of you, or I would do injustice to any of you if I use my moderator's license to close the session. And I come back to where we started, and that is the new normal: extensive use of online platform. When we have extensive use of online platform as the normal, it is bound to have certain abuses, and these abuses definitely would be stepping into someone's rights. Now, whether the enforcement of it is through civil procedure, and civil procedure also has provisions for seizures and similar action, John Doe orders, Jane Doe orders, or criminal prosecution through police notices and FIRs lodged, and necessary action, that is arrest and even imprisonment for the maximum of 7 years. So the entire scenario is there. In that scenario, and then of course, as Kaviraj had mentioned, the secretariat host had mentioned that there might be continuously someone hiding from one website to the other, one portal to the other, one URL to the other. We need to make sure, at the end of the day, the problems will happen and we will have to seek solution. That is quite obvious within the ambit of law, within whatever the copyright law and the Information Technology Act, the Copyright Act and the Information Technology Act, whatever is available, as well as the IPs, the Indian Penal Code, whatever is there. We try to make sure that our online experiences honors the rights of the copyright owner, and as intermediary, we do not facilitate infringement. We make sure that whatever measures we take is in favor of the copyright owner. And if we, as we say, the moment we have actual knowledge of any infringement or alleged infringement, we make sure that that is taken off. With that, I would like to thank both the speakers. I wish there were the other two speakers, but unfortunately, it was not possible. Thank you very much for the two speakers. Thank you very much, Indian National Bar Association, which happened to me, my home organization also, as one of the founder members. And thanks very much to
you answered the question.
thanks to Kaviraj, where he has his conventional
I
and
could have told
non-conventional
them.
questions all the time. And thank you for the platform, INBA, for the platform. And I have to congratulate and compliment Kaviraj for picking up this platform. I do understand that there are certain problems with the platform as far as mobile device are concerned, but those who are able to use the computers, laptops, or the desktops, it is fantastic. Thank you very much. With that, I close. And amazingly, 26 minutes. We had recouped. We had 24 minutes gone in the arrangements, logistics, and all, and we got 2 bonus minutes. Thank you for that.
And
With that, I close.
thank you, Shantanu, for your
Thank
moderation.
you.
Thank you so much for the excellent moderation, as usual. As usual, you do that. So
It gives me entire pleasure. Thank you.
thank you so much.
And
Thank you.
Thank you,
let me see
Tandon.
you.
Thank you, Sanjay. Thank you, Kaviraj. It was
Thank
amazing.
you, Kritika.
Let
Pleasure.
me see you at a lounge.
How
Okay,
do you
we
go?
will. We will
How do
see
you
the
go?
lounge.
How do we
So
go to the
I think
lounge?
the host will have to take it off.
No, go to your left.
Love.
There is lounge is there.
No.
Top.
You have to end the session. Only then can we go to the
Yeah,
lounge.
the host have to say.
Yes, I am ending it so that
Thank you
you
all.
know.
Thank you, the participants. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kaviraji, I'll just join in another 10
With,
minutes, please. I'll just join in 10
okay,
minutes.
you can. Yeah, please. I'm very interested to talk to you.
No, I'll just join in 15 minutes because I have a meeting going on in Brussels. I need to be there for 15 minutes. I'll just join you back. Thank you. Thank you.
सबसे बड़ी प्रॉब्लम आपकी क्या है कि लैपटॉप क्यों का ये सिस्टम स्लो है लैपटॉप हमेशा स्लो होता है दे दे ना उस फोन
कनेक्शन प्रॉब्लम है ऐसे प्रॉब्लम अभी प्रॉब्लम क्या है मेरी क्या प्रॉब्लम है आपका है वो कनेक्शन
मेरी बात हो गई पापा का अच्छा बेटा है ना लैपटॉप से ही करना पड़ता अच्छा बबीता जी नहीं चल रहा कंप्यूटर रिस्टार्ट पर कोई बात